So I see a lot of opponents and a lot of opposing fans talking about Arsenal being boring and being robotic. But is it a simple fact that they didn't understand who Arsenal is or who Arsenal was? And it's down to us fans to remind people of our history. Stay tuned until the end of the video and let me break this down to you so us Arsenal fans can defend the club with full understanding, with full awareness of who we were, who we are, and who we will become in the future. So based off the recent criticism, this had sparked me to say that listen, I need to start a segment on this channel to say that defending the badge, because for years we've been ridiculed, we've been basically ostracized from the rest of football community for no reason. When we were poor, everyone was criticizing us, saying that we're rubbish. Now we're good, there's another thing to say, oh, we're robotic, we only play one style of football, and this and that. So we're going to have a segment specifically made to come back against these criticisms. So in 1886, basically the beginning of an era for the Arsenal, we started to play the 5-3-2 formation. 5 attacks, 3 midfield and 2 defenders. Can you imagine that? And at that time, most teams were playing this way. Then came the Woolwich Arsenal era, which came in 1891 to 1913. Now with that came a different style of play, right? So this is what I'm saying, our style of play have changed so many times, but our new style of play was classed as the Scottish style, or the defensive grit. This was a new style of play, and with that comes in a different ball game, right? Now this fun fact as well, we were the first club in London to go professional. Stick that up in your pipes. We were the first club in London to go professional. So these are things that we should know. Club in London to go professional. So these are stats, these are things, history lessons that we should know as Arsenal fans to defend this club, because people love to argue that Chelsea is the biggest club in London, right? So with these things, we need to add to the repertoire. People like Ty from AFTV needs to start mentioning these things apart from going the season unbeaten, right? So then in the Ivory era from 1913 to 1925, we kind of regress. We started to play long balls. So before, when we just came to Woolwich Arsenal, we were playing a bit more fluid, right, in terms of passing movement. But in the Ivory era, we started to play a lot more long balls and a lot more defensive ball game. So that's 3 different styles already in 3 different eras. Then after that came the Herbert Chapman era, and he was the one that introduced or created the WM formation. Now the WM formation simply means that a centre mid comes back in defense to make a 3 at the back, a 3 centre back, and that started the revolution for us, the counter-attacking revolution. So that's when we started to play more attacking football in the Herbert Chapman era. And fun fact, if you ever play me at FIFA, that's my statics, right? Just a little hint for you guys when we start to do the FIFA competition soon, which is going to be probably next month, starting when the new FIFA comes out. That's when we're going to start our new FIFA competition, so be prepared for that. That's one of my key formation in that. So basically Chapman didn't want Arsenal to have unnecessary possession of the ball. What he wanted was to sit deep, collect the ball, collect the pressure, absorb the pressure, and then counter-attack at lightning pace with speedy players. So this was Herbert Chapman. He was the one that introduced the counter-attacking to Arsenal, which was our main play at that time. I think it was between 1925 to 1935. That's when the Herbert Chapman era of counter-attacking football was ripping up the Premier League. You might be wondering how I know these things, and it's because I really tried to study. I really tried to understand the history of the Arsenal Football Club, the history of the playing style. I don't want to just waffle. I want to talk about facts. I want to talk about things that I know for a fact, right? How we were comparing to how we are right now, and why we are where we are right now. So you have to understand history to understand your future. That's my belief. That's my mentality in everything. So going back to, I have to be studying. So if you want to study about the history of the Arsenal playing style, there's lots of sources online. I think Gunners history or Arsenal history. There's lots of resources online for you to catch up and the tactics on how we were playing at those times compared to how we play now. Because these are all fake narratives. If you understand our history, then you'll know that these are all fake narratives that everyone is trying to spill, trying to get under the skin of the Arsenal fans. Because when they get under the skin of the Arsenal fans, then they get a reaction, and they love that, especially how clickbaiting is right now and rage baiting is right now. And another thing is that the reason why I'm so passionate about doing this segment especially on future videos, is the fact that I was speaking to my friend, and he was bringing up what Graham Souness, 2 people, 2 different fan bases of my friends, bring up what Graham Souness said about Declan Rice, and we're going to get into that after. But then I came up with the idea to say that, listen, I'm going to start dispelling these narratives. I'm going to start debunking these narratives, these fake narratives that they have on the Arsenal Football Club. And I'm going to start with the playing style, because that's one of the biggest things that people were talking about last season. So after the war came the Whittaker era, and the Whittaker era now is basically an era where the target man is introduced at the Arsenal. We start to have a target man, end the ball at the target man hold up the ball, and then look to spill it off to the wingers, look to spill it off to the midfielders. That's when we got introduced to the target man tactics, or target man playing style. And then after that came in the Bertie Mee era. Now the Bertie Mee era is like an era of mixed. It's a mixed football, right? And how he played, how he set the team up is that once again they absorb pressure, but they also mix with a bit of a flair. Now Bertie Mee didn't play exciting football. He played a ruthless football in terms of setups, good structurally, strong structurally, and then you have people like Liam Brady that basically attacks, counter attack. So he set everyone up structurally, everyone up tactically sound. Right, sound defensive group, and then you have the likes of Liam Brady. That's the star talent. That's the shining player. That will remind me of someone like Saka. So in Arteta's system, this is what I'm trying to say. Arteta is a manager that studies the history of a club, that studies the history of football, and he's the one that always talk about data-driven, data, and this is a big data of our football club, to see how the previous manager's success, because in fact this was our first double. Bertie Mee gave us our first double by winning us the League Cup and the league in the same season, and this is how he set up. This is how he set up in terms of structurally sound. And listen, how did we got our first Premier League trophy in 20 years? Set up structurally sound and having some individual brilliance in the likes of Saka, in the likes of, sometimes it's not Saka, sometimes it's Eze, sometimes it's Declan Rice. So having a setup structurally, and then having some key players performing out there. It's the same thing in that era. Charlie George. If it wasn't Liam Brady, then it was Charlie George that's helping the team breaking from that structure to provide some individual brilliance. So the media love to talk about Arteta as the one that got Arsenal playing this defensive football, this defensive ball game. It didn't even start with Arteta. Some people like to go back to George Graham. It didn't even start with George Graham. It began with Herbert Chapman 50 years before George Graham. That's how long we were playing defensive style football, or not even defensive style football, structured style football, tactical football, and then having some key players to attack, and that brings us major success. Arguably some of our biggest success came in that style of football, and this is why Arteta had to go back to that. So I firmly believe that Arteta will still will go forward, playing more forward. I believe Arteta will go forward, starting to play more attacking, starting to play more exciting football. But it has to be structured. It has to be based. The foundation has to be structured, principle on defensive and structural play. So I agree and I understand why Arteta is playing how he's playing. But fans that's fickle these days, that don't understand history, don't understand how to get a club from where they are in the mud to get them to brilliance in how they were playing before. These are some things that you have to do, and I respect Arteta's brilliance. As I said, they had to take a brilliant manager like Mikel Arteta to get this at the club. Now, when you look at the screen right now, showing you defensive work rate, showing you the work rate of the defense. This is why I'm talking about this thing. This is why 2 seasons in a row we had the best defense in the league. Then in the 1980s to the 1990s came in the George Graham era. Now the George Graham era is when they were saying boring Arsenal. Just like what they're saying now, they used to say that in George Graham era. And George Graham is the one that's famous to say that, listen, everyone hates Arsenal. Everyone hates Arsenal. And this is when we were set up defensively structured, defensively sound. This is when our defensive backline was set up with Nigel Winterburn, Lee Dixon, Tony Adams, and Steve Bold. This is when everyone was saying boring Arsenal, but we were structurally sound and we were getting a lot of success by having this same tactics. Now this is the problem. A lot of commentators and a lot of fans from opposite teams, rival teams, they got used to Arsenal playing the Arsène Wenger football. And because we were so dominant, we were so fluid, we were so exciting playing the Arsenal football, they attached this style to the club, which it was never that before. Arsène Wenger was the one that introduced the total football. If you know the total football, you understand where it came from. It came from an Ajax system and things like that. The total football, Wenger was the one that brought it to Arsenal, and the total football was taking over the Premier League. It was exciting to watch. It was amazing. It was brilliant. This is why most Arsenal fans support Arsenal, especially current generation, because even me, The reason why I support Arsenal is because of Thierry Henry and the total football we were playing at the time. So I don't want to be ignorant of the fact that this was one of the era, or this is the best era in the club in terms of the excitement of the fan base, the excitement of the football, the type of football that we were playing. I don't want to be ignorant to that fact. However, that's not our history. Our history is playing that was letting us down. In Arsène Wenger's era, is the defense that let us down. We were playing so much magnificent football. Look at the touches. Look at the touches. Look at this. Brilliant play. 1-2 touches. Look at this. When you talk about Wilshere, when you talk about Nasri, when you talk about, look at this. Santi Cazorla. Look at this. Ozil. Look at them passes. Look at them touches. Look at this play. Under Wenger, we played some of the most amazing football in the world. Sanchez. All these top talents, but we never won enough. We never won what we should have won with this type of team because we was not set up defensively structured. Wenger was what part of the reason why we went 20 years, 22 years without winning a trophy. Not the fact that he's a bad manager, and yes, he didn't have enough resources. Right, we know all that. We know all the fact that he didn't have it because of the movement of the stadium. We didn't have enough money to sign top talents, so he had to be manager of all time for me because of what he kept doing season in, season out with squads like what he had. But Arteta is taking a different route. Yes, he has more money than Wenger did. Yes, he has more resources, more backing of the owner than Wenger did. But he's trying to go back to basic. He's trying to go back to the defensives, to the tactical structure, and then build out an attacking side, which as I said, I believe is coming soon. I think that we're going to start playing more attacking this season, but we needed a defensive base to build on. And now we built that for last season and won the Premier League with that. Now it's time, I think he's going to start to build a more attacking side, especially with the talents that we've been linked with. It's pure attacking geniuses that we've been linked with, especially the younger players. It's lots of technically gifted players. When we talk about the Quintorio twins, technically gifted. Barthashvili, technically gifted. Even Munga, even though the fact that we didn't get him, the fact that we're linked with those type of players shows you that what the type of players that we're starting to link with, we're starting to go for, the tactical brilliance. So we got the aggressive side in defense and midfield. When you talk about Declan Rice, when you talk about even Gomes, we link with Bruno Gomes, defensively solid player, structurally solid player. And then we're trying to sprinkle dust on top, which is the more technically gifted players. So Wenger came in with this era, and Arteta now coming to the Arteta's era now, he's bring back the basis of who we were, and now I think he's gonna build on he's gonna build on Herbert Chapman system, then George Graham, then Arsène Wenger. These are the system he's gonna be built up. He's going to combine everything. That's what I'm seeing Arteta is doing right now. Defensive players. When you talk about Pablo Mari, when you talk about even the keepers, he was just signing defensive players. And everyone was saying, what about the attacking players? And he had a 5-phase plan. And in the 4th phase, he's starting to see him get some good attacking players. And then now in the 5th phase now, we're starting to see him starting to sprinkle some cherry on top, right? Which is the likes of who we're getting now. Christolis, Solis and other wingers that we're getting linked to right now. These are the cherry on top, because we had good attackers in terms of Martinelli, inside similar players like what PSG have in attacking side of the game. Because defensive side, we know that we can go bands for bands in the defensive side, but in the attacking side, midfield side, these are where we need to strengthen our team, and this is exactly what he's focusing on. So this is the history of the playing style of Arsenal, right? This is what I want us to understand. Learn to understand our history. So when people starting to say that Arsenal football system or Arsenal's playing style is the beautiful football, then Arteta came and changed everything and started playing the boring Arsenal. No, we didn't. This is our basis of our club. This is the beginning of our club, defensive football. And then through different eras, we start to transition. When the offside trap came, we transitioned to a counter-attacking team. And then we went back after the era after that, then we went back to the defensive side. And then we came back into the Arsène Wenger era. Now we're back defensive era. And then even in the same Arteta era, we're going to see different system. We're going to see different style within Arteta's era. We've seen the defensive style already in Arteta's era. We haven't seen the free-flowing football. When he just came, it was free-flowing. But we didn't win anything. Actually, we won the FA Cup, but that wasn't good enough. So in the free-flowing era, that's when Aubameyang was there, that's when Ozil was there, that's when Lacazette was there. But I would say that we didn't have enough technically gifted players to utilize or to make full use of that system. So now when we're starting to build defensively and we're getting more technical players, we're going to see Arsenal go back to that free-flowing football that we were so well known for under Arsène Wenger. But it's a system, it's a phasing system where we started back with Herbert Chapman, George Graham, and now we're going to the Arsene Wenger football next season and season after to come. Who knows? We might even go back to the George Graham football or Herbert Chapman football sometimes in the future. Because the thing is, when football change, you have to change with it. So let me know your thoughts on this video, guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Help me on my journey to 10,000 subs. Catch you in the next video. Big up yourself.